Welcome to Veronica Live, and I'm Veronica, and I'm here today with Tracy. Tracy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Just to let our listeners know, you and I met in the Air Force many years ago now. I was a
Hmm.
public affairs officer, and you were the protocol officer. We were both trying to keep this two-star general out of trouble in Las Vegas. So,
Yes, we were.
so that is how we met. Can you believe that? That was quite a while ago, actually.
Yeah, and I don't even remember when it was, but it has been a while.
It has, but we had some good times back then at Nellis Air Force Base, keeping everybody out of trouble. But we love to talk politics and what's happening in the world. And oh my gosh, I know all week you and I were texting each other because we just wanted to talk about Judge Kavanaugh and what happened this week with Dr. Ford coming forward and testifying, and then he came and gave his statement. So I heard her statement in a vehicle. I was driving and I had the radio on most of the day, so I didn't see her visually until that evening. And everybody kept saying how compelling it was. My thoughts were she seemed so wimpy for a 50-plus-year-old woman to talking about an attack from when you were 15. I don't know. It came off so wimpy to me, and I have to go have some caffeine. So they were so gentle with her, even though yes, she's a victim. I think something happened to her, but I can't say I think it was the judge. Is just how I
I
feel.
can't either. I think something did happen to her, but goodness knows, trauma does weird things to people, and who knows what's happened to her. But it was funny because like a coworker had it on his computer, and he was looking at it, and I happened to catch a few minutes of it, and I said, and the first thing I said was, "What's up with the voice?"
Yeah,
And
it was
there's been
so
ever since I've
wimpy.
seen all kinds of stuff talking about that.
Right. Well, I guess because we're both women and we've always been so sure of ourselves, and i- not that we're powerful when we're giving a speech or something, but I don't know. I just found her so wimpy talking about an incident from when you were 15. I mean, this was years ago. It's not like it happened yesterday. So and then she's a psychologist. So I just who deals in trauma issues, post traumatic stress. I didn't get it. It just seems so scripted to me, the whole thing.
Well, and didn't she read quite a bit of
Oh
her
my
testimony?
gosh. Oh my
You
goodness. And
know,
then yes, there was so much that was left out to me. She remembered them laughing, and that was the soundbite they kept highlighting. She remembered how the judge apparently was on her, and Mark Judge was his friend was in the room, and she remembered them laughing. So that was a soundbite I heard like the rest of the evening on the liberal channels. Um, but she couldn't remember who got her to the party, where the house was for this party, how she got home. So my thing was, there was questions I wanted to know, like, were you drinking beer? Nobody ever asked her that, and then we'd heard from Kavanaugh on the Martha McCallum interview on Fox this week before this happened, and he had to talk about his sex life. Nobody ever asked her a single question about that.
no, nobody. I mean, I think they softball questioned her, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
They traded her with kid gloves. What does that say about women? We're too fragile to be, actually questioned and to stand up for ourselves. It just I don't understand. It's a hypocrisy type situation.
Well, why, but those were important questions, Tracy. How did she get to the
Yeah,
party? Who was she hanging with? Where was her mother? My mother knew where I was when I was 15.
yeah. I sure
you
wasn't
know,
at any parties.
I had the tough Catholic mother that had gone to, school with the nuns. So you step out of line, you're toast. So there
Yeah,
was no partying with boys with no parents in the house. So
yeah.
so these are questions I have that nobody asked her.
Well, we've gotten to this narrative where, you're not allowed to ask, no matter what women do, you're victim shaming, or you're just supposed to believe them. It doesn't matter that they did this, that, or the other, that they didn't deserve, blah, blah, blah. Which, yeah, I do agree that, nobody deserves to be
Well,
assaulted.
it's
But, the situation and everything, we did need to know.
we needed those questions asked. So I don't know. And the other thing that's happened is that even friends of mine have been posting and sharing that they have been sexually assaulted at some point, and they're talking about it. And so one of my friends is sort of liberal, and she posted about it on Facebook, but she's not impressed with Dr. Ford at all, with what's gone down. And that's the thing. They say the hotlines now for these kind of calls are breaking records after this case, because her testimony has people now want to talk about it. So and that's the bottom line, is if it's true, I want somebody to get the care they need and the support they need from their family. But I don't know. I didn't find her that authentic. Maybe because it was so scripted.
For me, it was scripted, and that voice.
Yeah, the voice.
I could not,
goodness.
in that, maybe I'm shallow, but I could not get beyond that voice. To me, that was like this submissive little girl, I'm poor me type.
Well, and then at one point, they asked her I forgot what the question was, and she's like, I don't understand the question. So I've seen a lot of people have commented about how does somebody with a PhD and a master's degree couldn't comprehend a basic question. So,
yeah. And then there's also that, they asked her if she knew that they had offered to come to her home.
Yes.
And they had not told her that.
Well,
and then there was the stuff about, whether she flew or not.
Well, I was going to just say that. Supposedly she's not a flyer, yet everything that I've seen the last 2 days, she's apparently a frequent flyer for someone who doesn't fly. So, it's just so...
But see, because there was those glaring things, to me that seemed like the lawyers had made all the statements and all the, the delay tactics. And she was kind of like, la, 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 I'm just going along for the ride. If she didn't know those things, who's making those determinations? Or is she just lying? And she did know.
And then everything that happened with Senator Flake decided to I say throw in the towel, and sided with the Dems. He met with Senator Coons, and they went to outside. I just watched the 60-minute interview, and it was with Senator Flake and Senator Coons talking. I guess Senator Flake was getting on the elevator and was pretty much attacked by those two women that said, how can you do this? This means you belittle women. And so it shook him up, apparently, that he had a change of heart and decided that we needed another week of investigating the judge, who's already been investigated 6 times.
Yeah, this will be the 7th one. And of course, they're already moving the goalposts. Have you seen Feinstein's tweet that, a week isn't long enough? We need as long as, we can to, figure out these allegations or something along those lines. I'm, somewhat paraphrasing. But they're just going to keep moving the
another
goalposts.
week so we can have George Soros pay off more women that are going to come forward. That's hopefully, if this is true, it comes out. But what if this is all baloney, is what I come back to. This was 36 years ago when people were stupid teenagers. And what was she doing? I think she was there drinking too. So,
I'm sure she was. I'm sure they all were. But here's the thing. We can't even place him there. None of the people that she's said were there will corroborate her story, including her lifelong friend, that woman, Leland Kaiser.
Yeah. Well, and when I heard his statement again, I was listening to it on the radio. I mean, I had tears in my eyes because, in life, we've all dealt with people that, occasionally you deal with somebody that's not honest about your record or whatever. And when somebody goes after you like that, it goes to your core. and you
Well,
want to fight to defend your honor, especially when you're an integrity-oriented person. I know you are, I am. That's how we, excellence in all we do and everything. I don't know. The Air Force Corps values have just always stuck with me,
yeah,
service
yeah,
before
absolutely.
self,
And
integrity. And that's
okay,
how
I'm
I've
sorry.
always lived my life. And so when he came out blaring, and now people are attacking him that Senator Coons said he was belligerent and aggressive and angry. Well, hell yeah.
They just dragged him and his family through the mud. I don't see
Worse than
how
the
you
mud.
could not be
To hell
angry.
and back. To hell and
You know,
back.
and I okay. So the way I feel about this is it's time Republicans fight back.
Oh yeah.
It's time
That's
we
why
say what we need to say.
normally I am not a Lindsey Graham person, and when he came off the top rope like a WWF wrestler, I was like, go Graham. I mean, I loved him. He was my American hero that day because I'm sick of this Shiza. This is just ridiculous, what this man's gone through, and who's defending him, and what if this is BS? And he's had a perfect record. And I know you sent me what you sent me like an article talking about how, because he said in this whole thing how his favorite thing ever is coaching his daughter's basketball team,
Oh,
and that
right.
could be taken away,
Yeah,
but
it was a USA Today article that basically suggested he needs to stay off the court,
yeah.
which is just like he's some sexual predator pedophile.
Right, and then I think the bishop came out and said, "No, there's nothing proven here." Plus, I don't know, anytime in the Catholic Church you are dealing with children, I've taught Vacation Bible School and Sunday School. There's rules, and so he's never going to be alone with kids. But to even put that now, that's in jeopardy. Give me a flippin' break.
Yeah, that's the hatefulness of that. It's absolutely hateful. And
now,
I believe USA Today retracted that story because they had so much outrage over that. Because that was just,
I'm
just
outraged.
horrible.
I'm outraged because again, it's an allegation, and not a single thing has been proven. So
but they keep calling him a rapist.
Oh, I know.
They are actually using the term rapist. They don't say alleged sexual assault, alleged incident. They say rapist.
Well,
and
I can't even imagine being in his shoes and to drag it out another week. But here's the other thing. I want the FBI looking into who leaked the damn letter. What has Feinstein been up to? Why did she keep it forever? I mean, it's still too convenient for me, this whole thing.
Oh, it is. It's just it's so transparent and ugly and just horrible. I think it was Senator Cotton who said that Feinstein's office is being looked at for how that actually came out.
Well, I want to know.
But why did she write to Feinstein in the first place? I don't even understand that.
Why did she write the what?
Feinstein in the first place. Why? I don't even understand that.
Yeah. Well,
during
the testimony, she couldn't answer the question about was it her that provided the Washington Post, the doctor's records? And
the notes, right.
Yes, she couldn't remember that. So you can remember what happened to you 36 years ago and that they were ping pong balls going down the steps when they laughed and left her.
Did you hear what Laura Ingraham said about that?
No.
Okay, this is just one of those things. But she said, as a former prosecutor, she said that's a visual. That's not a. She said that sounds like she saw them going down the stairs as opposed to hearing them go down the stairs.
Right.
So that kind of brings up the was she really locked in the bathroom at that point?
Well, the whole thing is. Oh gosh. And again, I go back to real victims because today Kellyanne, President Trump's spokeswoman, came out on Jake Tapper on CNN and said that she was a victim of a sexual attack. So she, she was close to tears herself. And so here's a woman now on our side